The Middle of the Pack podcast.
One of the very best decisions I ever made in my life was to join, in this case, Watergrasshill Athletic Club. But wherever you're from, join your local running club or any club. But we're talking about obviously running here. One of the best decisions I've ever made in my life, and it's one that I have not regretted and one I will never regret.
Welcome to episode 37 of the Middle of the Pack podcast. And there you heard Dennis Cronin, our guest for this week, talking about how special running has been to him and is to him. And we'll start this episode where, as always, I asked Dennis how he got into running or how he started running. Welcome to episode 37 of the Middle of the Pack podcast.
I joined Watergrasshill AC, I'm going to say coming up to 5 years now. It was kind of after the first opening up after the first lockdown in COVID, we'll say. So I'm going to say about May or June in 2021.
Right, you started then.
Yeah. Started technically coach to 5K.
Ah, very good. So you were one of those converts.
I'm one of those converts, yeah.
That's brilliant.
There was a gentleman in Watergrasshill AC called Conor Milan who was organising a coach to 5K. And I saw a post on Facebook, and hand in hand, no product, I sent off a reply, but it was more to do with the social side of things rather than actually the running of it that I was probably more interested in. I suppose being somebody who doesn't go to the pub all that much, I didn't meet too many people, we say, and I just wanted to kind of broaden my horizons, meet more people, and I suppose one thing led to another, do you know?
I do. It kind of caught me in the same way. We were more doing it from, I think my wife started more and was doing it from a health point of view. And I was always into sports, but never really, late in life, never really played anything. So anyway, I got into running more or less the same thing by accident. And suddenly then there is a whole social network that opened up that is brilliant. It's a great part of it, like.
Yeah, I was a bit like you, Patrick. I played virtually every sport you can name of growing up.
Yeah.
From hurling, football, soccer, tug of war, volleyball, basketball, badminton, handball, you name it, I played it. And even when I finally retired from playing soccer, I took up a role as a referee in soccer. So I always felt connected to sports. And when I joined the Watergrasshill AC, as I said to you earlier, it was more for the social side. I thought that being a referee, I was in reasonably good shape.
Yeah.
But I will never forget the first night that we ran around Watergrasshill village, and it nearly killed me.
And what age, if you don't mind me asking, what age were you when you started up running then?
Well, I'm 58 next week, so I was 53, we'll say.
Very good. You're a little bit younger than me, actually, yeah. But I started maybe 3 years ago. Yeah, it is. It's a great outlet, isn't it?
It's fantastic, and I like I said, I'm only with Watergrasshill AC 5 years, but there are people within Watergrasshill Athletic Club that are amongst my closest friends now.
That's amazing.
I find the running community as a whole is so supportive. And I'm talking about people not just from within your own club, but even if you go for a run somewhere and you see somebody else running, they'll always say, hello, how are you? Keep it going, you're doing great. There's always someone to support you.
Yeah.
Even if you're not from the same club, we say. Do you know? Like nobody wants anybody to see anybody else suffer, from the point of a different term. We all kind of do it for the same reasons. And mental health, fitness, social aspect. Like I can't tell you how beneficial it has been to me, probably mental health wise. It's when I go for a run with my buddies or friends or colleagues from the running club, it's a chance to kind of switch off from, we'll say, life's problems for however long you're out there, whether it's a half an hour, whether it's an hour, it's 2 hours, you know, and you sit down afterwards and you might have a cup of tea and a chat. So some of those times are the best times of your life, do you know?
Yeah.
And over those cups of teas and over those runs, I formed some of the greatest friendships of my entire life. And I'm now 58, as I said. So for the first 50 odd years of my life, in the last 5 years, I've probably more what I would class close friends now than I had in the total of the 50 years previously.
Yeah. And I find this amazing. I've said this on previous episodes. I went for long runs with a group, and anytime you go for a run with people, you end up sharing things that you are talking about things that you would never share with someone in a pub or when you're out for a drink or whatever. It's amazing. And it's so good,
I
like,
actually agree with that. Yeah, because you're right. Like if you were visiting somebody in the pub or something, or out for a meal or something, they're not things you share over the course of a drink or a dinner,
yeah,
But when you're out on a run, it seems that like everything and anything is within bounds and nothing is out of bounds. We'll say,
because it's interesting. You say mental health, and I've interviewed people that have got over an illness, or that are grieving, or that have got over a bereavement or whatever, and all those things. Well, I suppose there's an element of mental health in all of those things, but they all help people, don't they? Whether it's just clearing your head or chatting to someone about it, all those things are what you're recommended to do, really, isn't it? To talk.
Yeah, like I suppose as blokes, we're generally speaking, we're not great to speak about how things affect us, do you know? But I suppose I've learned to open up more in the last 5 years. But like when I say like as you said, even just clearing a mind of everything and just listen to the birds singing as you're running. Like some days there, you go out, we'll just say it's a beautiful day, Parry. And whether you're with someone or whether you're on your own, and you listen to the birds sing and the sun is shining, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And life can be simplified at times. And I find that people, and I include myself at times, kind of rush and race through life without kind of taking time to stop and, as they say, smell the roses and things. And you
yeah.
only get one shot at it at the end
a-
of the day.
Absolutely. It'll be last Sunday now when we're putting this out, but someone was talking about Cove 10 miler tomorrow. I don't know if you're running it or um,
I'm not.
yeah, but someone said, "What's the race strategy?" And the woman said, "When you get to the top of the hill, if it's a nice sunny day, look out and you'll see the ocean, and the sun will be glistening across it." And she goes, "That's the race strategy because it's just beautiful." And we were kind of going, well, I was kind of going, "What's your PB or what?" But
I actually would be more in the Harline because like I don't do an awful lot of races at all because first of all I can't commit to them because of soccer refereeing, so I can't book too far in advance because it could clash with matches and things. No, I am going doing the Great Railway Run next week, but I have done the Cove Sonia 10 course, not the race, with a great colleague of ours in Watergrasshill AC, Tom O'Reilly. Phenomenal person, phenomenal runner. Like, and he has helped me. Like, I can't put into words just how much that man has helped me progress in the last 2 years from where I was even 3 years ago, 2 years ago to where I am now. While you have to put into work yourself, he has almost single handedly dragged me to that level. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah,
I can't praise that man enough. No, he's not the only one there. I could name virtually everybody within my club that has helped me along the way, almost without exception, I would think. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Going back to what you said about the running community, it is amazing, and I think I say this quite a lot, how supportive, no matter how fast they are or how good they are. Nobody looks at you or me and says, you're only going to do the marathon in 4 hours, or you're only going to do a 5K in 20. Everybody is encouraging, aren't they? Whether they're running past you going, "Well done, Padraig," or "Well done, Dennis." It's amazing. I think anyway.
I find that like you're right, Paul, like some of the almost elite athletes are arguably some of the most supportive because I suppose they've been there at some stage and they've progressed. I suppose like running, I suppose, isn't easy for the want of a different term, because I suppose if it was easy, everybody would do it. But the sense of achievement, if you if you only do a 5K, but if you manage to beat that bookmark figure of 30 minutes, I remember the first time I ever did it. I I was I nearly tapped myself on the back. I gave myself a tap on the shoulder. I was like, you've achieved something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, yes, and you're right. There's people out there who can do it in under 15 minutes, but they don't see you any different than anyone else. Do you know? Because it's all relative. Your 30 minutes could be the best that you can do, and that's good enough. If their best is 15 minutes, then obviously that's good enough. But like it's all relative. Like I will never be at the front of a race. I'm not built for speed, but I can pick a pace and plod away for nearly any amount of time. But I find, with the exception of maybe a few athletes, most people are only kind of racing against themselves to try, like maybe get a PB or a new course that they haven't ran before or something. Just like everybody has different goals or achievements they're trying to make, and everybody should be applauded for even trying, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely right. And it is a little bit like golf, seeing as we started with that, in that you are, well, if you are playing your own game and you're just trying to improve on your own score, it's the same with running a race, isn't it? You're just trying to do your best or to get your personal best. And then it doesn't matter if there's somebody, 10 minutes ahead of you or 10 minutes behind you. You're going for your race as opposed to racing somebody else's, which is also very good for the mental health as well, really, isn't it? You're not letting anyone down and you're it's only yourself really, which is the good thing about it.
Take golf. Technically, you're only ever playing the course, we'll say. Do you know? And you could play well one day, you could play bad another day. It is what it is. Running is something similar. Some of my best runs have been on days, and I don't know why, but when I'm kind of getting up in the morning to do the run, I'm not really feeling it. But then you get to the start line of a run, whether, as I said, whether it's a 5K, 10K, 10 mile, half marathon, whatever. And suddenly, 2 or 3 or 4 kilometers into it, you might have 2 or 3 people kind of giving you encouragement. And then suddenly something clicks and you have some of your best races. And other days when you have, we say everything leading up to the race has gone well. And on the day of the race, it kind of doesn't happen for you, as they say. And you'd be wondering, boy, do you know, sometimes you have to accept what you get on the day, do you know?
Yeah,
Um, I'm fortunate in the sense that as I said, I'll never be at the front of a race, so I'll never be hunting prizes. But some of the most enjoyable runs I do is when I can help someone over the finish line as well, because the amount of people that have helped me over the finish lines in all levels of distances, I mean, I couldn't give you a number. It's just far too many. So sometimes when you do a run, it doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't matter the length of it. Sometimes you see somebody who's struggling. I feel that my role there, if I'm not going to hold them back, is to try and encourage them and try and get them over the line, like so many people have done for me.
yeah, yeah. And are you
It's a
still
case of kind of giving back, probably.
and, so you say because of the refereeing, you don't have a lot of races, but what does your kind of running training schedule like? How often do you get out and
I get up fairly often, like even at work, because I get an hour for lunch. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do 5K, so it's like a half an hour, do you know?
yeah,
So we have time to obviously have a quick shower and a bite to eat before we go back to work. So Tuesday and Thursday is 5K. On Wednesday, my colleague that I named earlier, Tom Reardon, organises our speed session, usually down Little Island, if it doesn't clash with a BHA race or something. So that starts at 7, so I'll always, matches barring, I'll always be at that. I generally go for a 10K, a 10 mile most weekends as well.
and are you a
You know?
kilometer or mile person?
Oh, I'm absolutely 100% kilometre. And there's a very simple reason for that. I believe I'm doing more when I do kilometers. So if I was doing a 10-mile race, my watch would beep 16 times rather than 10 times. So in my head, I'm doing more.
Yeah, it is interesting because my coach is listening now, he'll tell me off, but he was saying it's bite-sized chunks, so you're running less. You're doing 10 miles as opposed to 16 kilometers. But my wife and I are the same. So we would go, no, I think it's far more of an achievement doing 16 kilometers. It feels better for me. And the marathon was the same. I didn't mind it being 42, So,
Yeah,
I, but you did
I'm
couch.
definitely kilometers. I will never go to miles.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm the same. But was that also because of Couch the 5K, I assume? Was it?
It probably was. I'm going to say it probably was because obviously, as the name would suggest, we were doing kilometers, and like the first night, it was like a 2 kilometer loop around the village, but it wasn't a 2 kilometer continuous run because we were doing Couch to 5K. But like like as you would have known, probably, obviously the first milestone was hitting a kilometer without stopping, and then the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it probably did stem from that, but ever since then, in my head, I'm doing more the more often my watch beeps. So I will never change from kilometers. Do you know? Like I still rather do a 10K than a 6 miler. Do you know?
yeah, absolutely. And I actually still can't, I can feel what a kilometer left means, but when someone says there's only a mile left, I still can, I just feel that's longer. It's I,
Yeah, I'd actually kind of struggle in that. Even on a 5K run, when I know that I have 2 miles done, like 3.2K, and if it comes into my head for some reason, there's only a mile left, it just seems forever.
yeah, yeah,
Whereas if I say, sure, we're inside in the last 2 kilometers, for some reason, that doesn't feel as bad at all. Do you know?
absolutely. And like it's always an argument, and I would say maybe it used to be that there was an almost a snobbery element to, well, you're not a real runner unless you're running in miles kind of thing. But there is a more and more people are running in kilometers that I can see anyway. And I think that suits us better, obviously, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, people would be fairly accurate when they say that I'm not a real runner because I'm probably what you would call a reluctant runner, probably. Do you know, it's like for the refereeing, it's a necessary evil, obviously, to maintain a level of fitness, obviously. But I even though I do it, I don't enjoy running on my own. Even if I only had one other person or a group of people, but even if I only have one other person, and even if they're on a different plan to me and they're faster or whatever, and they kind of, we start together, but they leave me, I'm still okay because I know they're out there with me.
Yeah,
Um, like I found running is very much a mental game as much as it is a physical game. Like sometimes when you start off, or even when you're doing a longer run, sometimes you feel, oh, I need to stop here. But that's your mental side, like the little gremlins on your shoulders telling you. Whereas you know that you can actually go further. So sometimes you have to beat the demons in your head,
yeah,
you know?
for sure.
Because like you feel like the easy thing to do, predominantly when you're on your own, I have to speak personally now here, is to stop. I say, oh, I just walk 100 meters here and I'll go again. Whereas if I'm running with someone, and again, I'm only speaking personally, but this is how competitive I can be, is even if that other person is a far superior runner to me, in my head, I'm saying that person is suffering as much as me, and I'm not going to be the first one to break. and even though I know that I'm lying to myself, that keeps me going for the next kilometer and the next kilometer and the next kilometer. So whatever works, do you know?
And is Tom O'Riordan that you've mentioned a few times now, is he a coach or is he just someone that's working for the club or, volunteering?
He's a member of the club, but he paces a lot of races. He's not a coach per se, but like if if you go to him looking for a plan for something, because he's done it, been there, done that, has the shots, he can help you. Now we have people within the club that are, that can coach you as well. I just find Tom works for me because, like, I just ask for a plan, but it's not a plan that he's looking at. It's just a plan for myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's up to me to do it or not do it. Whereas when you go to a coach party, as you know yourself, they give you a plan, and if you miss it there or second, like, they're on your back. That's not what I need or want. I just, like, I done a marathon last December in Malaga, my one and only. And I'll be honest, the wheels fell off the wagon with about 10 kilometers to go. So I was disappointed with the time, but I was very pleased that I actually mentally fought through the last 10 kilometers, because hand in hand, it was the hardest 10 kilometers I probably have ever put down. And it was just a sheer mind over matter that got me through it. But Tom had given me a plan. So I knew I had it in me, even though it was a major struggle to get it done.
Yeah.
But if I hadn't had that plan, I probably would have given up. And I'll be honest about that.
And do you think you fueled properly and took on the right amount of gels and everything, or
Oh, I didn't feel right at all, Patrick. I took no gels, no nothing.
you you're joking me?
Oh no, I can't be doing that at all. No, anything that's been done properly, I won't do that.
Oh, well, that's why you hit the wall. That's why you had
Well,
struggled.
it was more in case the wall came down on top of me.
There's a whole, I mean, it's a whole confusing science behind how much gels you need to take, but it's, yeah, not taking any is a bit of a, but you still
Yeah,
did it.
I did it. All it took was literally water. That was it. I suppose if I ever decide to do another one, and I'm not saying for a second that I will, because I had that box ticked now, regardless of the time, I would definitely have to look into the fueling side a bit.
Yeah,
But I still probably wouldn't take too many. I just find I don't perform well when I take stuff, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Uh, I like to bluff it, probably.
There'd be no point in asking about shoes then and shoe rotation by the sounds of it, or are you?
I'm not bad with shoes now, to be fair, because I do understand the importance of having proper running shoes, as and more than one pair.
Yeah,
So I do understand that. And when I ran Malaga in December, it was a pretty new pair of runners, but they weren't brand new, because obviously I broke them in,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know. But
yeah.
I had bought a pair of runners about a month to 6 weeks before Malaga, and I was doing 5Ks in them, 10Ks in them, 10 miles, just to break them in, because I had every intention of using them in Malaga, which is what I did.
And was that a good experience apart from the last 10 miles? Was it, did you enjoy
Oh,
the,
like, I've been to Malaga for the last 3 years, and I'm booked in to go again this year. There's a good gang from our club now. There's a lot of people from a lot of clubs in Cork, to be fair, go to Malaga for the Malaga half marathon, even though it is about 5 weeks earlier this year in November. Malaga, first and foremost, is a beautiful city.
yeah,
I picked Malaga for my full, because I had done the half there before, and it was a flat route.
yeah,
And I was saying to myself, if I was ever going to run a marathon, why would I pick any route that was hilly if I could pick a flat one? And it seemed like the logical choice. And I knew the full marathon also did the first, or did exactly the half marathon route at the start. I didn't know exactly what the second half of the marathon entailed, but having spoken to several members of the club, I knew that it was flat anyway. So I was saying to myself, if I was ever going to do a marathon, to be the flattest one I could find. So that's why. Plus, the fact that it was out in December, partly, I couldn't really put it out any further than that before going to the next year.
and what was the temperature like? Was it? It wasn't too hot.
The
No.
temperature was actually lovely. It was probably, I'm going to say, probably about 16 or 17 degrees.
Oh,
So
perfect.
the temperature was lovely.
Yeah,
Couldn't fault the weather. So it was on me,
yeah. It was just the fueling strategy or the lack of it. Like,
or lack of, I would say, yes.
But if you're looking for advice on how to fuel for a marathon, have a listen back to episodes 29, 30, and 31, or episode 35, and that should point you in the right direction how to fuel for a marathon and your preference on how to fuel for a marathon in future races. So you've done half marathons, obviously, then, and
I've done a couple of half marathon races, and obviously I've done quite a few half marathon distances. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. And what would be your favorite distance?
Oh, do you know, I don't mind a half marathon, I gotta say, but I suppose if I was to pick one distance that I would have to do, we say, it would probably be the 10K.
A 10K, okay.
Yeah. But I genuinely don't mind a half marathon distance. I suppose certainly no, because my fitness levels are good enough to do it without causing me any issues. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I suppose it's all relative. If I wasn't fit, a 5K might be too much. Do you know what I mean? But if I was to pick one, I'd probably pick a 10K.
And then the Great Railway Run is up for you next. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's on obviously the 19th. So Sunday, tomorrow week now, as we talk. So that's 25K. I did it, I'm going to say 4 years ago, 4 years ago. And I was in reasonable shape. So I was happy out until I got to Raffine. And Raffine from that point on killed me because we were running on something that was poker flat for the first 16, 17, 18 kilometers. And then suddenly we were faced with hills and I wasn't prepared because I didn't know the route at all. And
Yeah.
that last 6 or 7 kilometers, oh my God, that took it out of me. But I mean, I still finished pretty strong, but at least now I know what's ahead of me.
Yeah, it's a torturous hill, isn't it?
Yeah, it comes almost unawares because you're running flat for so long. You turn the corner and suddenly it's up down front of you.
Yeah,
There's no gentle introduction to it.
but as you're running down to it, you can actually see the people running up it, and it's a bit like, oh, sugar, this is ahead of me now. But I did
It reminds me of small with the Clonakilty one, the Clonakilty half, where you're running flat for the first 6 or 7 kilometers out past the causeway. But then you can see in the distance, because it's quite straight, you can see the people going up this bloody hill that would almost match Patrick's Hill.
Yeah,
Uh, and you come up to the base of it, but you must turn left first for about 200 or 300 meters to come around the bollard. And then you go up this hill, and it's an awful hill. And it's almost equally as difficult to come down the other side because it's so steep. Do you know? Sometimes
that's
coming down a very steep hill is actually really, really hard on the legs, especially the knees, because it's very much jolting on the knees.
yeah. No, I almost slow down on downhills. It's not an advantage for me. I don't know whether I'm afraid of falling or I end up being more jumpy with it than I am not necessarily going
I
up it. But
suppose there's always a fear if you're coming down a really steep hill that you could go face first.
yeah,
And I'm sure we've all been there, because I certainly have. Like, when you take a tumble on pavement or on road, there's only one winner, it's not you.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, 25 kilometers is a big race ahead. The Cork half marathon. Any big plans like that, or is
I am actually running that with a really good friend of mine, Rachel LeBurn. She's only kind of coming back into running again. She done the marathon 10 miles there 2 weeks ago. So she was looking to do someone to run with her and in the Cork half. So I'm going to run that with her. No, we're going to run that quite slow. Rachel's hoping to beat 2 hours, 30 minutes. I reckon she'll probably beat it by 10 minutes, but we won't be going much faster than that. It's a case of just finishing the race, do you know?
yeah, yeah,
Neither one of us would ever be in the hunt for medals. We say, well, obviously we get a medal, but you know what I mean? We wouldn't be at the podium side of the races.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that,
But it's good because I've ran quite a lot with this girl, Rachel, and it'll be just another chance to chat for 2+ hours, which is
yeah,
always a good thing.
and it's a good distraction as well, isn't it?
It is.
The I mean, the podcast is all about really middle of the pack. Now that could be anybody is a middle of the pack, whether you're a middle of the pack for the elite runners or middle of the pack for the slower runners. But it is really about celebrating everyday runners, and it's not about winning or podiums or anything. So you're the perfect guest for that.
Well, look, I'm definitely middle of back of the pack, to be fair. But I do, in fact, I go further. I actually love the social side and the social aspect of running. Like when we meet up after a run, like because we've quite a habit in this club, and I don't know about other clubs, but if we do a run, we say on a Saturday or Sunday morning, we generally have a habit of starting at a diner or a cafe or somewhere, and we finish there so we can have a cup of tea and a cake or something afterwards, because it's all about the cake.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? But
I was good.
it's just nice for 10 or 15 minutes where we all get together, whether you're at the top end of your the top or the bottom end of the club. We all get together, we're all equals at that point. Do you know?
Absolutely. Like, we should get t-shirts, "We run to eat cake," because that's it, you're burning the calories to put them back in again.
Yeah, there's no guilt attached to it's certainly not in my book, and when I order a big cake after a run. There's
Absolutely.
no guilt here.
I really appreciate, because you're obviously busy with refereeing and life and everything, so I appreciate you coming on and sharing your journey, and long may it continue.
I thank you for inviting me on, Patrick. I've totally enjoyed it,
Yeah.
and I would say to anybody is one of the very best decisions I ever made in my life was to join, in this case, Watergrasshill Athletic Club. But wherever you're from, joining your local running club or any club, but we're talking about obviously running here. One of the best decisions I've ever made in my life, and it's one that I have not regretted, and one I will never regret.
Brilliant. That's a great way to finish. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. It's been a pleasure.
And that was episode 37 of the Middle of the Pack podcast, featuring Dennis Cronin, and really appreciate Dennis coming on. If you haven't listened back to episode 20 with Rory O'Hagan, Dennis is featured in that as one of the big influences on Rory's life. Well, as a runner anyway. So I do hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. You've been listening to episode 37 of the Middle of the Pack podcast. Thanks for listening, and keep on running.